Speaking of backwards priorities, here you go, guys. The 4th is coming up, as we know. And they're getting ready in D.C. Check this out. The latest, tanks arrive in D.C. ahead of the July 4th celebration. We got our tanks. Good. At least 2 Army tanks have arrived in Washington ahead of the 4th of July celebration that President Trump says will include military hardware. An Associated Press photographer says the 2 M1A1 Abrams tanks are with 4 other military vehicles on a freight train in a rail yard at the southeastern edge of Washington. The vehicles are being guarded. Okay. Oh, this is awesome. Trump told reporters Monday that the tanks will be stationed outside the 4th of July celebration, but has not given any details on how they will be used. We don't know what we're going to do with them. We don't know. We might just... I mean, if there's any protesters, that's what they're there for. We're... just in case there's protesters. We got them. We got our tanks. That's awesome. Way to go. We got our tanks. That's actually, you know what? We didn't want to publish this. It's actually porn for Brian Williams. That's what it really is. It's porn for Brian Williams. He is going to. We just you know what we did is that we were gonna blindfold Brian Williams, be like, hey buddy, we got a surprise for you. Then we're gonna drive him to the southeastern edge of Washington, and then we're gonna open the door. We're gonna take the blindfolds off, and there's gonna be 2 tanks, and we're just gonna hand him a canister of hand lotion and be like, have fun. And he's gonna be like, you mean it? And they're gonna be like, yeah. And then he's gonna be like, oh golly, good boy. And he's gonna run in there. Because that is porn to him. He is guided by the beauty of our weapons, baby. Those are his words. So that's what the tanks are for. That's actually my guess. We don't know what the tanks are for. I guess we're led to guess. But mine is that it's going to be a personal porn show for Brian Williams. They're going to blindfold him. It's going to be a big surprise, and he's just going to jerk off to the tanks until his heart's content. And that's Donald Trump's attempt to get more time on MSNBC. That's my guess. I'm sticking to it. But they got their tanks. That's you know what I'm doing? I'm going to the beach. That's what I'm doing. I don't want to see a fucking tank. I try to read stuff that makes me think of the United States on the 4th of July. I've read Civil Disobedience before. I've read some Chomsky before. This year, I'm reading a book about the singer-songwriter Jason Molina. I talked about that earlier a couple weeks back when we did a segment on Jason Molina. Or actually, it was last week. It wasn't a couple weeks. It was last week. But I'm reading a book about him. He's a singer-songwriter who died tragically from alcoholism. And he was born in Ohio. And he spent some time in Bloomington, Indiana, the town where I went to college, because he was on a label that started there at Indiana University, actually, called Secretly Canadian. Still a great label. So I'm reading about stuff that happened in a part of the country that I grew up in. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, not far from Ohio. So it's cool for me to see how people can express themselves creatively in a part of the country where that's not necessarily in abundance. Those are pretty beautiful stories. And it's something to celebrate. So I'm reading that this year on the 4th of July. I don't need a frickin' tank. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your